Wow. Wow, so this is what we're doing next for Death Battle. YIJI ITADORI from JJK versus DENJI from Chainsaw Man.
I think this one's going to be a good one. Part of me wants to give this to DENJI based off of continuity and how Chainsaw Man works. But in terms of raw strength, I'm going YIJI with that one. If you want to base it off of the concept of bombs, well, that didn't really work with Reze versus Bakugo, the same thing could be applied here.
I mean, don't get it twisted. Chainsaw Man is nothing to sneeze at. This dude, I think, went to hell and came back unscathed. If that doesn't say enough, I don't know what else does. And I'm gonna be real, I don't think it matters what version of YIJI you use, whether it's from the main timeline or Mojido YIJI. I don't think he wins in terms of everything else except for raw strength. I don't think raw strength is going to be enough. I believe the only way that DENJI stands a chance against YIJI, depending on which version of YIJI they decide to go with, whether it's after Sukuna or during Mojido, it's got to be this version of Chainsaw Man.
Because this version, it's broken. I'm sorry, it is. I don't think YIJI stands a chance. I think the idea of Pochita or the Chainsaw Man offing these devils and erasing them from existence is probably what's going to push the narrative here. Specifically, the death, war, and hunger devils. They all embody the atrocities of humanity, so that, I guess, says something, but that could just be taken in the sense of, like, concepts or whatever. At that point, you're not using actual feats, you're just using statements that are used, so I don't know if Death Battle's gonna use that. But again, you just think about those three devils and how they cause so much problems, like if you're basing it off the real world, and that should tell you how strong DENJI really is. And it doesn't just stop there. I mean, DENJI in this form broke out of hell, something that was supposed to be impossible, which was a different dimension altogether. And there are some arguments that DENJI in this form can go light speed. Okay, I don't know if Death Battle is going to do this, but if this is the case, I think this might be one-sided. Now, the thing is with YIJI from Mojido, if they decide to use it, there's not enough to justify even using this form, knowing what we know within Mojido. It was confirmed that Yuka's Maharaga was arguably the strongest one there, but YIJI didn't fight Maharaga, nor did he fight Deborah, but we can base it off of the explosion that he had using a dismantle, comparing it to, I would believe that being Deborah and Maharaga fighting. It's basically one and the same, if not YIJI's being way stronger. And YIJI, as we know, wasn't even trying, so on and so forth. And can most definitely hit a Black Flash at will. I'm certain that that is the case. It seems to be that's the case. So it is the case. Now, specifically, if you wanted to scale this even higher, it'd come from this page right here, which is kind of like the starting point to justify this fight even being fair. He basically is confident in his ideal to subdue either Maharaga or Deborah if things go wrong. That's saying that Yuka or Tsurugi aren't able to do what they need to because he didn't want to be like Gojo and basically be used as a tool. Again, knowing what we know from JJK, if this is the case and he's confident in subduing both of them, then we have an argument. That would then imply that this version of YIJI could easily take on Gojo and would quite literally, maybe, most likely one-shot true form Sukuna. Basing it off of Maharaga and Deborah's fight and knowing what we know about Maharaga now. But I will say it's contentious. There's no solidified way to prove that that is the case. But I'm basing it off of what's kind of being said here in terms of tone, because I don't know for sure, but that's the idea. All in all, personally, I really don't know how YIJI would be able to win this, knowing what we know about Chainsaw Man and that specific version, if they decide to use that version. I mean, they'll try to make it close, but I think I'm going to give it to DENJI. I want to say DENJI will win this.